Blitz, British crime thriller starring Jason Statham. He's a cop on the edge with an attitude. First 5 minutes, there's a bunch of hoodies trying to steal his car. He takes them all out with a hurling stick. He's then interviewed by a shrink who says, look, you've got some real issues. Incidentally, put that cigarette out. What are you going to do? Arrest me? I'm Jason Statham. There's a random cop killer on the loose, and it's looking bad. Come in here. Let's not have any more of this. Here's a clip.
You don't want to believe what you read in the papers, sir.
It's not what this station needs right now. You know we can't afford any more bad publicity.
Imagine you walk down the street. You bump into 3 blokes carrying carpet knives. And no, they're not carpet fitters. They're after your wallet. Maybe even that gold watch that you got for the highest arrest rate in the southeast. And while they're at it, they very kindly offer to carve their name in your face. Now, you'd be more worried about whether you're going to have a face and how it looks in the papers.
You wouldn't want to mess with him, would you?
There's actually no difference.
It's
between
exactly
your
the
voice.
same.
Unlike most of your impressions.
That actually sounds like him.
It's about the same thing.
And so what you then get is, it's a nuts and bolts thing on one level that, there's a maniac out there. There's Jason Statham. He's not going to take any nonsense. He's going to sort them out, all right? But there are some interesting things. One of them is that Paddy Considine is the cop who is sent in to join him. And at the beginning is set up as a kind of figure of fun, like a desk-bound character, who they're all making jokes about, that he's effete and that he's gay. And, of course, he turns out that he is gay. And what the movie then does is he turns out to be just as hard and tough and and forthright as Jason Statham's character. So there's an interesting central pairing there. There's also in the character of the maniac we have Aidan Gillen. Aidan Gillen is a very interesting because there is something very, very charismatic about Aidan Gillen. I mean, some people know him from, I think he was in Queer as Folk, was I think when he really sort of rose to prominence, but he was recently in Wakewood, and he's got one of those faces that he's somewhere between Richard Gere and Arno Frisch, from Funny Games, and he's giving it the full welly. And then there's a scumbag journalist who's played by Auntie David Morrissey. So what they've done
Dave.
is, and the whole thing is rather well lensed, and the action sequences are done with, bone-cracking gusto and verve. So although what you have is a fairly nuts and bolts concoction of, I'm going to sort this out and you're not going to stop me doing it, all right? Remember who you're going to call the next time you come across a group of youths and that. But on the other hand, these other things which are sort of quietly around the edges of it, tipping, overturning your expectations. I mean, it is interesting that a lot of the Jason Statham movies have in the past played quite obviously towards a sort of homoerotically interested audience, and that this is more open-minded than the genre would often be, and it has good performers knowing what they're doing is nuts and bolts B-movie stuff, and obviously there are bits of it that are just wantonly all over the place and silly, but some charismatic performances, some sparky stuff going on, and I kind of enjoyed it much more than... Well, no, not even much more than I expect, because the thing is, I do like Jason Statham. I think he's an interesting guy, and I think he carries on making movies that consistently aren't quite what everybody thinks they are. I mean, it's a B-movie, generic, head-cracking, no-nonsense, nuts and bolts thing that actually has got some nonsense and actually has got something else going underneath it. And largely, I have to say, Aidan Gillen, who is really, really quite fearsome.
As the poet William Ashbless would have said.
Oh, go on.
I don't know. Jason Statham, he's the boy.
Jason Statham.
I wouldn't bother buying the action toy. Is that it? Is that what he said?
He said what?
Well, he's a made-up poet, so you can make up.
Oh,
any
I see.
poetry
Fine,
by him.
very good. Jason Statham, he's the boy. I wouldn't bother buying the action toy.
There you go. Thank you, William Ashbless.
Isn't that a fantastic bit in whatever it transported?
Do you think he's a good actor?
Well, I think he does.
Could he do something else?
That may well be the case. I'll tell you what he is. He's somebody who seems to have chosen his roles well, have defined a niche for himself in a way which is looked down upon quite a lot, but wrongly so, because heaven knows there are other people out there who have attempted to kind of, to peddle the same shtick and not done it with any of the grace or wit.
Like who?
Well, it's not. There's an infinite number of dopey hard men actors, and he ain't one of them.